welcome to Petronas Sepang International Circuit at Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. It feels like being in the center of an oven, and we're certainly going to get sizzling hot here for the final race of our Asian section of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia contest. After this, we'll only have the Lamborghini World Finals in Misano in the autumn, but this is a very critical race for our contenders, particularly for the boys at SJM Theodore. All they have to do is stay ahead of the Racecraft and BC Racing teams, and they can win the championship before we even get to the airport for Italy. But it is going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of fierce competition to try and steal the victory away from them. And it's all going to depend on that opening stint for Charles Leong. When he hands the car over to Alex Denning, if they're in a reasonably good position, then the championship is still theirs to be sealed. But with only 32 points available at the season finale in Misano, it's important that the drivers get the most out of this race to get themselves into position. Here is the pole-sitting car. Charles Leong rocking up with the SJM Theodore team.
New Zealand, not South African.
Yes, we were going to correct that. Don't you worry.
Thai flag, but Australian.
I'm going to speak to Todd, actually. Todd, let's have a chat, because yesterday you and Chris had a fantastic run to the victory in Pro-Am. Here you are on the second row of the grid. What a chance of another one.
Well, yeah, I've got to hold on. Chris is the guy who drags it home and does the magic, and I'm just here to hold on and do my best and not wreck it for him, really.
Well, I mean, the Flying Kiwi's got a good chance to start you out of the blocks, and then you take over. What are you hoping for going into the second stint?
Good tyres, but just trying to be consistent and hopefully just defend and be consistent as I can, just to really hold the gap that Chris is going to build for me. I'm hoping he's going to build the gap, and I'm just going to try and keep it alive.
He's Chris, he's going to do everything he can to. Thanks, Todd. Good to hear you.
Cheers.
So there you go. The Aussie, Thai and the Kiwi are going to be going for another Pro-Am victory, but the car alongside them is actually going to be starting ahead of them on the starting grid. In car, we've got Brendan Leach getting himself ready with the Leip Motorsport team. He wants to be in a convincing position to go for the Pro-Am victory, but it's not going to be easy. We know how fast the Kiwi, Chris van der Drift, is going to charge from the outset, and with him being there fourth on the starting grid, it's going to be very tough into that first corner, particularly for our pole sitter. Charles Leong is going to be starting things off. I want to see if I can find Alex Denning out here on the starting grid. Surely he's going to be out here somewhere. Of course, the SJM Theodore crew are here, knowing that all they've got to do is stay ahead of the Racecraft and BC cars, and the job is done before they even get to Misano, because they've got a lead at the moment of 37 points, and there's only 32 available in Italy. So they've got a chance here to seal the deal. In the absence of Alex Denning, let's catch up with the team themselves. We are riding on the crest of the championship title here. How difficult is it going to be?
Listen, it's been a phenomenal season. SJM Theodore Racing have put in a wonderful championship. If we can come home fourth today, we do it. Have to get the job done. Charles, Alex, they've been extremely focused all weekend. This is the moment. This is the time for Macau. Charles and Alex, we're really looking forward to it.
It's going to be an exciting one. Thanks for setting us up for a show.
Thank you, and keep it going at the commentary box.
Thank you. Thank you. 6 race wins out of 9 this season. It's almost a done deal, but this is motorsport. You can never rest on your laurels in this kind of competition. It's always going to be ridiculously competitive. We've got 24 cars out there on the circuit. We know how tough it's going to be, and I've been looking at the weather report. There is a 50 to 60% chance of rain to hit the circuit in the next half an hour. If that's going to happen, boy, are we in for a show. Let's talk with Alex Denning, race winner yesterday. Alex, it's very hard to come up with a perfect race. Yesterday, you guys got very close to it.
Yeah, I think all year we've been struggling in terms of getting everything right. Our driving, managing the strategy and getting the car right. And yesterday was just one of those days that we got everything, hit the nail on the head. The two of us drove well, whilst also saving the tyres, and the team did a fabulous job with the strategy. So yeah, everything went perfect, and we're hoping for much of that today.
We're about an hour or so away from the checkered flag. Championship on the waiting. Do you think it can be done?
Look, I think I'm only going to be thinking about the championship in the last couple of laps. Everything has gone to plan this year, not thinking about the championship, so we'll be doing much the same. And look, if that puts us in the position where we can win the championship on the last lap, happy days.
Good luck, Alex. Go get him.
Thank you very much.
So there's a chance that the Pro category can be won today, but there's no chance that the Pro-Am or the Am classes will be sealed today. That's going to go down to the wire in Misano. But there is a chance for Superchai to clinch the Lamborghini Cup down at the tail end of the grid. So with 4 races in one and the chance for rain on the way, make sure you've got a good vantage point. This could be the race of the year.
Enjoy, brother. Have fun.
The waiting is almost over. What a battle we have in prospect for you here. The 50 minutes for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia finale. It won't be the final race of the championship, of course. That will come at Misano for the World Finals. But there is a championship or two up for grabs today. Ethan Brown for the Leip Motorsport team, car number 27. He's racing alone this time as his teammates are not available on this particular occasion. So he will go alone. That means, of course, that any team that does run just one driver will have a 3-second handicap in the pit stop. But this could be a fascinating race battle. And it's all going to come down to one thing today, the weather. There is the Kiwi, Chris van der Drift, after his incredible drive yesterday to grab the Pro-Am victory with his Australian Thai colleague, Todd Kingsford. What chance of a double here today? A great opportunity for the two of them to move forward, but they've got one man at least to take on up in front of them first. Brendan Leach in the Leip at number 89 is going to be a serious thorn in the side of many. But what about this boy? 5th position on the grid for Nicholas Starty. What a debut weekend in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo for this teenage superstar from Australia to acquit himself incredibly quickly into this car and already be good enough pace for top 5. He's racing alone this weekend as well, so he'll also get a 3-second handicap. He didn't really get the chance to shine yesterday. He got stuck in the midfield and wasn't really able to progress. Today, he's got a chance right from the front. There's Peter Lee, hoping to keep the championship fight alive to Italy, but he's got to beat the guys at SJM Theodore by quite a considerable margin. And let's not forget, of course, that the other man in the equation, Gavin Huang, on the BC Racing car number 11, who has 89 points in the championship, is starting just behind him as well. The champions in waiting are on pole position. Their combatants are 6th and 7th on the grid. Final checks for Gavin Huang. His last chance of keeping the championship fight alive here today. He's got to make it count. If anything untoward happens with the SJM Theodore crew, then the championship rumbles on to Italy. In Pro-Am and Am, it is almost certain to go down to the wire. I can't see any circumstance really in terms of the mathematics where the title fight would be clinched today in either Pro-Am or Am. But good luck in the Lamborghini Cup to Supachai Wadabonmapong. He's 2nd on the grid in Lamborghini Cup behind Shinji Takei in the Batmobile car. But he could become champion today in Lamborghini Cup before he even lands at Milano Airport. Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, round 5, race 2. The 10th race of the season, and so far there have been 6 wins of the 9 starts for the SJM Theodore crew, number 32. Could they get lucky number 7 and win the championship today? Let's find out. 50 minutes of racing await us as we go around on the final formation lap in Southeast Asia. After a season that's taken us around the peninsula, oh, it looks as though we've got one car not moving. And that is a big problem. That is the number 3 car not moving. That is Chao Chuquan of the LK Climax team. So Chao Chuquan is not moving. And that's a big problem for him and the team. They've got to try and get the blue and black machine moving. Otherwise, that's going to be a retirement before we even get started. So they've made it around to the starting grid, but they are not getting started again. That is a disaster for the Climax team. Anyway, here is the starting grid. SJM Theodore, Charles Leong and Alex Denning, then the Leip car of Soren Leich, Ethan Brown in his Leip, and then Kingsford and Vanderdrift. Starting is alongside Peter Lee, then Gavin Huang in the BC, and the DWS GT of Aspen and Carden. Ninth on the grid for Harald Zaralo and Aaron Lim, then it's Zhou Bihuang and Bryce Fullwood, Changwu Li and Jiotong Liang, and then it's the Hazik and Hadi Zaralo party. BC Racing 51, Johnson and Bryan 13th on the grid, then Bobby Buncheran 14th on the grid from Kumar Prabhakaran and Shinji Takei in the Batmobile, and then it is the number 15 of the Z-Speed car, Hudson Auto by LKM, LK by Climax, the Siam Gas Corsa of Sipachai with a Boromapong and the Climax of Dongsheng Li. Then it is the Delta Garage Absolute of Dipa Vitramadin and Umar Abdullah, the Bundang by Racecraft, and then finally the Arrows and the Kamlong Racing of Ma Ji-min and Mak Hingtak. So 24 beautiful Lamborghini Huracans going around the circuit. Hopefully 24 at the moment. It's only 23 because, of course, the number 3 car did not get moving particularly easily. I wonder if they've actually now, though, been able to at least get started again and move off around the course. Rolling start as ever, but get this for a lineup into turn 1. Charles Leong in the SJM Theodore, Brendan Leitch in the 89 Leipert, Ethan Brown in the 27 Leipert, Chris Vanderdrift, the flying Kiwi from yesterday in the FaneLab 98, and then the Bundang by Racecraft cars of Nicholas Starty and Peter Lee, with Gavin Huang and Nazim Asman next up. That's 8 firecrackers going into turn 1, hoping that nobody explodes. This is going to be such an incredible run to the first corner. This first couple of laps could have so much glory and so much excitement written all over it. But we are an hour away from finding out if the SJM Theodore Racing crew of the Macanese Charles Leong and the Irishman Alex Denning can give the team, with Teddy Yip in the stands, watching his fantastic team go to glory, to become champion in 2025. Or will it be a comeback drive from Bundang by Racecraft or BC Racing to keep the title rumbling on to Italy? We are about to find out. Charles Leong on the left side of your screen, Brendan Leach on the right. We wait for the lights to go out. When they do, for the last time in Asia, in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, let's race in Sepang! Great launch forward from Charles Leong, but there's going to be 4 wide behind them as they get ready for the braking zone. Good start from Vanderdrift, who's already got himself at a third ahead of Ethan Brown. He's going to go door to door, almost contact between himself and Brendan Leach, and Charles Leong runs wide in the first turn. That opens the floodgates. Leach gets through, Vanderdrift gets through, and there's a spinner at the back. That is the 70 that's gone around, I do believe. There's a 76, my apologies, that's Li Dongsheng. Oh no, sorry, it's Bobby Buncheran. Bobby Buncheran's gone around. So now it's Brendan Leach that leads the way. Chris Vanderdrift is wheel to wheel with Charles Leong. Charles, don't get too flustered here. There's bigger fish to fry. He lets him go and slots in a third, but watch Ethan Brown on the far side. Ethan Brown fancies his chances. Can he hold it round the far side? No, Charles Leong is going to keep it. But he hesitates in the apex. Ethan Brown still there to the inside. Brown fights and gets through. Brilliant start for Ethan Brown. What a start! And unfortunately for the SJM Theodore crew, they are now down in 4th position. But crucially, they are still ahead of the BC number 11 and the Racecraft number 7. That's all that matters to them. But they want to win this in style. So the pro leader is now Ethan Brown. Second in pro is Charles Leong. So they're still on course for the championship title, but it's just been made that little bit tougher. But that car that we just saw is the secret weapon. Oh, and a spinner as we ride on board with Ling Kang. That's one of the BC cars going around. I think that's I think that is Johnson Huang. Johnson Huang has spun around, and it looks as though he's struggling to get started again. I wonder if he's overheated in the spin. Johnson Huang desperately trying to get going again after a spin as we rode on board there with Ling Kang. Sorry, no, it's Lu Shiwei who's actually starting the race. Ling Kang will take over later, as on the inside, that is the chance for the 11. Gavin Huang trying to get on the inside of Nazim Asman, but he hasn't been able to make it stick. So at the end of a very strong first lap, it is Brendan Leach who leads the way in the Pro-Am category. Let's have a replay. On board with Lu Chiwei. We're going to see in front, and Johnson Huang, he just drifts a little too wide, catches one wheel on the grass, and that's a pirouette. Nothing you can do about it. What a shame. As Johnson Huang spins around, it's so easily done on cold tyres, but he manages to recover and get started again. So out in front, Brendan Leach for Leip. Then it is the flying Kiwi, Chris van der Drift, ahead of Ethan Brown. Charles Leong going well in 4th position, 2nd in Pro. So the championship is still going strong. These two are the cars that can prevent it from happening, and they're not close enough to challenge right now. So, although it was a little bit of a panic, they're not going to be too undeterred. As up the inside, that's a great move on the inside there of Cao Chiquan from Haziq Saralo to defend. As well on the outside, here comes Lu Chiwei. So Lu Chiwei trying to get his run on the inside line. No, you don't. So Cao Chiquan able to keep his position for the moment. There's still a little bit of banter. Is that going to be a brave move on the inside from Nazim Hasman? And he has a go, but the man in front of him is young Nicholas Starty, 3rd position. Now I'm afraid there is our first investigation, and it is for Cao Chiquan for a starting infringement procedure. That'll be him stalling on the grid and then getting started again. I wonder if he tried to take his original place back. Oh, Starty's run wide. Starty's got a problem. Nicholas Starty misses the corner altogether, runs wide, has to rejoin in a very heavy Lamborghini. That will have been the scariest moment of Nicholas Starty's racing career so far, but that's a mistake he really didn't want to make. 3rd position in Pro suddenly becomes P6 in Pro. Here it is again. Now what happened to him? Oh, he caught the grass on the exit of the curb and it washed the car out. Oh, what a shame for Nicholas. Meanwhile, this fantastic battle continues as Cao Chiquan goes round the outside and manages to pick up the move then on Haziq Saralo as Lu Chiwei fancies his chances. And now he gets through as well at the expense of Cao Chiquan. Sorry, at the expense of Kevin Chen, I should say. So the pit window will open in exactly 15 minutes' time. And it will stay open, of course, for 10 minutes. They've all got to make a pit stop. Not all of them have to make a driver change. Those that don't will spend 3 seconds longer in the pit lane than those that do. But despite all the flotsam and jetsam so far, everybody is still circulating as we watch the race leader, Brendan Leach, having an absolutely superb run out front. This is what he's designed for, being in the lead and disappearing into the distance. And so Brendan Leach, I should say, having a fantastic run out of the sharp end. A very good run so far. He did a good job yesterday of elevating the team further forward. But yet another of the superstar Kiwis in this race, Brendan Leach, the 29-year-old from Invercargill, doing an amazing job out in 1st position, just stretching away from his countrymen. Well, going into this race, we knew that there was going to be some firepower from New Zealand all the way. But the 39-year-old from Hamilton is pushing very hard indeed to try and close up. 4 seconds is the gap. But Brendan Leach is in the 2-minute 8s at the moment. Just shows you how fast the car is. But those clouds are getting darker over the circuit. We could still get the rain that we are potentially now forecasted for. And if it comes mid-race in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, expect some disaster from 1 or 2 corners. 60% chance, I'm now told, of rain over the circuit in the next half an hour. This could get very interesting. Not that it wasn't already. So Aaron Lim chasing down Changwoo Lee. This is the battle for 8th position. And Aaron Lim, of course, is leading in the AM category. Changwoo Lee is 3rd in Pro-Am at the moment. So now that the first couple of laps have settled into a bit of a rhythm, we can see the genuine race battles now. And it's the Korean versus the Malaysian. Aaron Lim trying to make his magic around the far side. The crew's watching on back in the garage, hoping that there's not going to be any contact, as we just saw Lin Kang there sitting tight, ready for his go in the car later. Nice to see everybody settling into a smooth rhythm. It could have got so much worse than that on the first lap. there was some genuinely great racecraft as Brendan Leach, Chris van der Drift and Ethan Brown all found their way past Charles Leong. But there's no panic at SJM Theodore. They're still second in pro, while Gavin Huang is fourth in pro and Peter Lee is fifth in pro. So there's still a championship in waiting. All they have to do at SJM Theodore number 32 is stay ahead of the BC number 11 and the Racecraft number 7, and they are champions. So it's going to be very tricky, but Charles Leong wants this weekend to go to battle. And look at the number 16 of Nazim Azman. He is literally playing the MVP role at the moment here. He's causing himself, he's creating himself as a buffer between the championship opponents. This is exactly what they wanted. So the cars are running in unison. SJM Theodore number 32 and DW Evans GT number 16, the teammates running together. This is exactly what they wanted. Charles Leong ahead of Nazim Azman, and Nazim Azman is the MVP, hanging on ahead of Gavin Huang and Peter Lee. As long as he stays there, the championship is won. But Nazim Azman would dearly love to win himself, of course. But motorsport, in most quarters, is a team game, particularly in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. It is a team game. He'll want to play the team card to help the squad to the title. But if there's a chance to win, he'll take it. Of course, he can win the race and the team number 32 car can still be champion, as long as they stay within 5 points more of the cars behind them. And that is looking very likely at the moment. We're just counting down the minutes. In 40 minutes' time, we could well see a champion. So Brendan Leach leads the way for the Leip Motorsport team number 89. Chris van der Drift in the Fainlab car second. Ethan Brown is the leading pro in third in the number 27 Leip car. Then Peter Lee fourth, Nazim Azman fifth. From Gavin Huang, Peter Lee, then Aaron Lim in the HZO40's number 4, leading in the AM category. Nicholas Starty has dropped to 9th after his little off the road. And then in 10th place is Charles Ziquan, but we are told that he is under investigation for a start infringement. So we got the pit window opening in exactly 10 minutes' time. Expect some exciting battles now. They're getting themselves into a fascinating charge forward now as Nazim Azman plays protection. Following in the wheel tracks of Charles Leong, this is exactly how to become champions when they hand over later to Alex Denning and Emilian Card. As long as they're still ahead of Gavin Huang and Peter Lee, they're in good stead. And don't forget, of course, that Gavin Huang and Peter Lee are going to take 3 seconds longer in their driver change because they're not driver changing at all. In their pit stop, they'll be in the pits for 3 seconds longer than the SJM Theodore crew. So this is all going well for the moment. Nazim Azman goes long on the brakes, doesn't strike the back of the car in front. That's the one thing they don't want to do. You can do anything you like as long as you race cleanly and you don't hit each other. Second warning for track limits already for Changwoo Lee in the SQDA grit machine. So they've got to be mindful of that moving forward. The sky is definitely getting darker. The chance of rain is very much in the air now. Look at how feisty Peter Lee is getting behind Gavin Huang. He's started to realise if we don't make some impact, if we don't start to get ourselves into this mix, the championship's going to be over. So Peter Lee is not sitting back. He's not resting on his laurels. He's going to go after Gavin Huang. Come on, man, put your foot down or get out of the way. Now, they could use each other to gain ground on the two cars in front, but only if it's actually going to be beneficial. Could end up accidentally holding each other up, and that's when things really get tricky. But on the far side of the circuit, it's getting really dark. If that rain hits, then it's going to be pretty critical. Now, that's a very slow car. Going up the hill, that's a big problem. Mechanical issues for one of the HZO40's cars. That's Aaron Lim. He was leading in the AM class, and now he's touring. Big problems for the absolute number 4, and that means that his teammate, the karting sensation Hadith Zainalo, is almost certainly not going to get his run in the car. Meanwhile at Racecraft, they're keeping an eye on things, making sure they don't have an issue. But that is a very slow HZ040's car. The AM win looks like it's gone. Meanwhile, in the Lamborghini Cup, it's game on. We've got Sang-Ho Kim being caught by Superchai Winnabonwapong, and he's got ahead of the Batmobile of Shinji Takei. So that is the 17 up front. Sang-Ho Kim in the Bundang by Racecraft car, the bright orange Siam Gas Corsa of Superchai Winnabonwapong, who is on the course of being champion as long as he stays at the top end. If he takes the win, it really is done and dusted. But there's so much more to do in this race as we watch the race leader in Pro, Ethan Brown. He has pulled 5 seconds clear of Charles Leong. This is a great drive from the Singaporean as Ethan Brown rock and rolls it in the lead of the race here, and this is a great chance for him to wrap up a victory. And he's got 5 seconds, but don't forget he's going to need to take 3 seconds longer in the pits. So this is going to be an amazing second stint between Ethan Brown and Alex Denning. And look, we've got slick tyres ready, but we've also got wet tyres ready. Just imagine if they all stop and then it rains. That's going to be a scary first lap under wet tyre conditions, especially if they'll all be on slicks at that point. 60% chance of rain. That means it's going to be absolutely monsoon or nothing will fall at all. A little bit of a twitch there from the 15. Kevin Chen trying to keep himself in front of Mike Show. So Kevin Chen and Mike Show having a great duel. Mike Show looking for his move on the inside in the Climax 99. The Z-Speed car that Kevin Chen shares with Massi Weiser. Up through to the double right-hander. A bit of a run wide there, and that's going to lose the place. Mike Show catches Kevin Chen out on the curb. And so Kevin Chen's going to have to try and come back at him into the hairpin for the next left-hander. But now Kevin Chen needs to get himself settled back into the rhythm again. Once you upset your flow, you've then got to try and get it back. Dan Evans sat with the laptop next to David Kennedy, former Formula One driver. And there's a drive-through penalty. I believe that's for car number 3 for Chao Chi-Kwan. On board with Lu Chi-wei. Let's listen. That is the rasp of a Lamborghini Huracan in full chat. Music. That's not an engine, that's a symphony. Meanwhile, race control have told us that Sutalik Buncherong and Shinji Takei, their incident that put Bobby Buncherong around on the first lap, that's going to be investigated after the race. But a drive-through penalty for Chao Chi-Kwan of the OK by Climax team. That's going to rob them of any chance of a podium in Pro-Am. They're currently in 3rd place. So that's bitter disappointment for the number 3 car, Chao Chi-Kwan, as we watch Li Dongsheng. He's currently 2nd in the AM category, trying to chase after the HZ040's number 5 of Haziq Zaralo. They were 1 and 2, but now problems for Aaron Lim as he comes into the pits to retire. Has he even made it back to pit lane? I don't think he has. So we're waiting for Aaron Lim to come through, but I haven't seen him recently, so I'm not sure they even made it back to pit lane. Oh no, he's back up to speed again. So Aaron Lim's just gone through in 21st position at full racing speed again. And in fact, he's just done a 2-minute 10.6. That's only 0.4 of a second slower than Brendan Leitch in the lead. Well, there is the leading AM car, Haziq Zaralo in the sister car, number 5. On home turf, they want to make sure they get a victory in the AM category. Looking out of my commentary box window, still no signs of the 60% chance of rain actually falling. But if there's one type of race car that you don't want to suddenly throw rain onto the circuit on, it's a Lamborghini. These things are bucking Broncos. As we watch Sang-Ho Kim, the leader in the Lamborghini Cup. And The Korean doing a fantastic job at the moment of holding on from the Siam Gas Corsa car of Supachai Witteborbonpong. Alex Denning suits up and gets ready for the stint of his life. If he can hold himself back into that position, second place would do for the team to win the championship today, especially if they keep in front of the BC Racing and Racecraft cars. But Alex Denning doesn't do second place. This is going to be a fascinating second stint if he can get on terms with Ethan Brown, who of course has got to spend 3 seconds longer in pit lane. This could be a fascinating battle, but there's Brendan Leitch. He will hand the car over to the Chinese driver, Song Ji-chun. As down pit lane for the drive-through penalty comes Chao Chi-Kwan in front of me. That costs them any chance of a Pro-Am podium. But he's got to take the drive-through penalty separate from the pit window. By the way, the pit window is opening very shortly indeed. 1 minute and 41 seconds, 40 seconds, 39 seconds. And this is where Nazim Azman really comes into his own now. He's backed up. Charles Leong has pulled a second on him. And so now it's time to keep back Gavin Huang. Peter Lee can't stay with Gavin Huang at the moment. So this is where the championship fight is truly won. And Aaron Lim is working his way back up the order as he now finds himself overtaking Supachai Witteborbonpong past my position. Down to the hairpin. Nazim Azman still trying to keep Gavin Huang at bay to give the SJM Theodore car in front that little bit of a cushion. There's the confirmation of the drive-through penalty for Chao Chi-Kwan, which he has just taken, by the way. So there's nothing wrong with the procedure being followed to the letter. But now we get ourselves ready for the pit stop window. And this is where the race can be won or lost. But Nazim Azman certainly keeping himself honest there with a hard charging Gavin Huang behind him. Team's getting ready for pit stops down in pit lane. There is Chao Chi-Kwan having taken his drive-through penalty, and I'm afraid that's put him all the way back to 7th position in Pro-Am of the 8 cars that they have in the Pro-Am category. Bitter disappointment. Not what they needed at all. But can they fight back in the second half of the race? That's going to be the key factor for Chao Chi-Kwan. They might still have a chance to come back. 3, 2, 1. Pit stop window's open. So now it's time for the teams to make their way into pit lane. They've got 10 minutes to do it. They all have to make a pit stop. Not all of them have to make a driver change. The teams that don't will spend 3 seconds longer in pit lane. And the first taker is the 66 Lutsue for Hudson Auto by LKM. He'll hand his car over to Ling Kang. Meanwhile, the Kiwi, Brendan Leach, still extending his lead up front, 7.4 seconds clear. But are they going to get the job done? Because we know how quickly Todd Kingsford was up to speed yesterday. And if Chris van der Drift can do a reasonable job of keeping the tyres fresh for him, that was the key thing he pointed out. And I was having a long conversation before the start of the race with Dan Wells. He was telling me that it's actually quite critical to be slightly slower. You can go for the fastest lap here if you want, but if you're 0.4 of a second to 0.5 of a second off the pace each lap, over the course of the stint, your tyres are going to go further into the stint, and it's one of those situations where slower is faster over the length of a stint. Into the pits, several cars. The 63s come in, Shangwu Li for SQDA Grit. Also in again is Chao Chi-Kwan, Supachai's come in, Li Dongsheng. And it looks as though we've got a very busy pit lane coming. There is Brendan Leach. Now he's going to stay out as long as possible to consolidate the lead he's built up here over Chris van der Drift, who will do the same thing before he hands over to the Australian tie, Todd Kingsford. Out onto the circuit then goes Ling Kang, our cameraman. Let's ride on board with him through turn 1. Patient on the throttle. And then the roar from that engine. Absolutely love it. In pit lane, Bobby Bunchuren. Still a 60% chance of in the pit lane, that is Supachai Witteborbonpong, the other tie in this race, in the Lamborghini Cup category, the man who is on course to becoming the Lamborghini Cup champion in just 27.5 minutes' time. But now Nazim Asman's under severe pressure. Gavin Huang is all over him. Gavin Huang trying to force an error. And there is an error from Nazim Asman. Gavin Huang can get a bit of a run here off the turn. Asman chops across in quick time. Does not need to lose the position at this point. So Gavin Huang trying to work his magic here. But Nazim Asman is a real thorn in the side. There's not really a lot that can be done at the moment if Gavin Huang can't get ahead of the number 16 machine. As down pit lane comes another of the BC cars, Johnson Huang, as well as the Z-Speed of Kevin Chen and Mike Zhou of the Climax Racing team. They've all made their pit stops now. In Pro-Am, the Am drivers will get out as early as possible. The Pro drivers will stay in as long as possible. So you're not going to see Brendan Leitch and Chris van der Drift coming into the pits until about 11:47, I would guess. Oh, a bit of a twitch there from Peter Lee. That's not going to help. As down pit road now comes Bobby Boncharan. And going out of pit lane, that is the 99. Mike Zhou was the driver. Now it's back into the hands of Bryce. Peter Lee getting himself back up to speed. Try and get back on terms with Nazim Asman. Back onto the circuit, the drivers go. Massey Weiser taking over, of course, from Kevin Chen in the Z-Speed number 15. And in the Climax Racing car, it is back in the capable hands of Bryce Allwood. As down pit lane comes the 11. Right, this is where tactics need to come in now. Gavin Huang decides to bite the bullet and go first amongst the championship contenders. I'll pit in first and I'll try and get the undercut here for the pit stop. So Peter Lee carries on, Gavin Huang boxes. So Gavin Huang, like Peter Lee, has got to stay in the pits 3 seconds longer because of the handicap for not changing drivers. But by going for the undercut, he's got a chance to leapfrog. Double checking everything's okay with the car. Still no sign of that rain, even though the sky is dark in places. I think we're just going to dodge it, you know. I don't think there's going to be rain before the end of the race here. Looking at the cloud pattern, I've been to Sepang a few times this year. Yes, it's dark in places, but I think it's just going to miss the circuit. I think we're okay. Into the pits comes Dippo Fitramadon in the Delta Garage car, now up to second in the AM category. Aaron Lim has already rocketed his way up to third place, courtesy of the pit stops for Li Dongsheng, handing over to Li Donghui, and of course the pit stop from Bobby Boncharan. So there's still a chance of an AM podium for the number 4 car. For the moment, they run first and second in the HZO Fortis crew. Brendan Leitch, though, is still the overall leader in Pro-Am and overall. He'll hand over soon to Song Jun. But for the moment, Brendan Leitch is doing the work he needs to do, out in front, unchallenged. Up the inside, nice move there from Ling Kang as he gets past Making Tak, who now comes into the pits for his second stop, I do believe. Oh no, sorry, that is Machin Ma. So Machin Min of the Arrows Racing team comes into the pits. Machin Min making his mandatory pit stop. Bryce Fullwood now at the wheel of the 99 Climax car, trying to pull away from Massey Weiser. Watch out for Bryce Fullwood now. He'll get himself up to speed and he'll try and work his way forward. As getting ready in pit lane, Alex Denning ready to get into car number 32. And that's Dan Wells standing by with the lollipop. As into the pits comes Marchie Min of the Arrows Racing team. And down pit lane comes the 16. Right, so it's going to be the 16 car that comes in first. So that is actually Emilian Card getting ready, but also the SJM Theodore at the same time. So there's Alex Denning getting ready to take over from Charles Leong. So far, so good. Both cars coming together. So Alex Denning climbs in, Emilian Card climbs in. Steady first start to the stint then from Charles Leong and Nazim Asman. So the Macanese and the Malaysian have done everything they can possibly do to win this championship. Now it's up to Alex Denning of Ireland and Emilian Card of France. Dan Wells checks in. with Emilion Card, just to make sure everything's A-OK. There is Brendan Leach, the Kiwi, still doing a fantastic job. It's incredible to think how young Brendan Leach still is. He's already done so much in such a short phase of time. But it is pretty incredible what he's been able to achieve so soon. Lamborghini Super Trofeo European Pro Champion 2 years ago. Still very strong indeed as part of the Lamborghini brand. Out goes Emilion Card, following in the wheels of Alex Denning. And where are they going to get back out in relation to the 11 of Gavin Huang? Where is Gavin Huang out on the circuit? He's just crossed the line. Well, we're watching Brendan Leach. I really want to see where Gavin Huang came out in relation to the others. As into the pits comes the leader, Brendan Leach. 6.5 seconds now clear as Chris van der Drift has managed to gain some time on him over the last few laps. But right at the end of the pit window, Brendan Leach comes in, and I don't think he's going to be the only one yet. There is Chris van der Drift in the background. So both the Kiwis coming together. Brendan Leach, the 29-year-old from Invercargill, and the 39-year-old from Hamilton behind him, Chris van der Drift. And Ethan Brown's in as well, the pro leader. So the pro leader comes in as well, Ethan Brown, the number 27 Leip, and also in is the leader in Lamborghini Cup, Sang-Ho Kim. So all of the leaders coming together, basically. And Nicolas Stati follows in behind Peter Lee. So Peter Lee also comes in. Now, who's going to be where when all the musical chairs have stopped moving? Alex Denning is ahead of Emilion Card and Gavin Huang. We have found out that much. Out onto the circuit again, it goes Goeng Peng. And there's a 10-second penalty to be served during the pit stop of the 17, so they must have taken that already, and that's going to cost them a chance of winning the Lamborghini Cup. So there is Peter Lee in pit lane. All of the cars in the top 6 are now in pit lane. So we're waiting to see when Aaron Lim comes through. Surely he's going to be pitting this lap because the pit window is going to be closing. Yes, he's in pit lane, and he's just in the nick of time because he's got 18 seconds before the pit window closed. That is running the fine line for Aaron Lim. Meanwhile, out onto the circuit goes Song Jia-jun ahead of Todd Kingsford. Now we're going to get a race. 20 minutes to go, and the Pro-Am boys are still first and second, but look behind you because you're going to get Ethan Brown third, Peter Lee fourth. Well, let's see where it all mixes out. Where's Alex Denning in relation to Song Jia-jun? Todd Kingsford is second. Alex Denning is third, we're told. So Alex Denning is just a few seconds up the road from these two. This is going to be special now, as it's down to Alex Denning. He leads in pro. They've managed to jump. Oh no, wait a minute. Where's Ethan Brown in relation? The timing screen's updating. So apparently Ethan Brown is in third place. We just need to wait and see for ourselves. There's Todd Kingsford going through. Oh, someone's gone off there by the look of it. So it looks like there's been an off as we look at the Batmobile car. Oh no, maybe not an off, but certainly something terminal. That's a lot of steam. Something's gone wrong for somebody. Unfortunately, we can't figure out. Oh well, the smoke is going quite a long way around the circuit. We're about to see, oh, that's a lot of smoke. So what's happened? Oh, that's what's happened. It's the 17 in dire straits. That's Goeng Peng. Smoke billowing out of the car. Goodness me. That's like something out of a video game by PlayStation 1. Goodness me. Not good news, and that is a very sick-sounding Huracan. And there goes the win in Lamborghini Cup. Disaster for the Bondang by Racecraft car. He's still going, but to be honest, that's not good news because that's going to be spitting oil all over the circuit. That is not good news for anybody, least alone for Bondang by Racecraft. Keep your wits about you, boys and girls. This could get interesting in the last 18 minutes. And now the car is conked out. It's got nothing left to give. Park it by a marshal post so we don't get a safety car. He can't even get that far. I think we're going safety car. Oh my word. 17.5 minutes roughly to go. And this is going to end up as a safety car, I'm sure, because that car is very close to the racing line. Shakes of the head. Very difficult reading there. As up the inside line, that is Ethan Brown under intense pressure from Alex Denning. This is for the victory in Pro, and they've got the 83 trying not to cause issues. Marcin Min gets out of the way, but Alex Denning is setting off now after the 27 of Ethan Brown for the victory in Pro. Well, it's currently being held under yellow flags there because it is off the circuit, but it's quite close to the racing line. Well, the 17's been given a mechanical flag, not that it matters because it's not going anywhere. But now Alex Denning sets off after Ethan Brown in the Leip Motorsport number 27. This isn't just for a championship victory, it's for pride. Ethan Brown leads. He would dearly love to take a Pro victory here at Sepang, but the team behind them is on the course for the title. It doesn't matter if they lose to them in the race, but Alex Denning is a hardcore racing driver. If you ask him to finish second, he's going to say, no thanks, I want the win. So Goh Eng Peng trying desperately to get the car going, not realising that there's that much smoke out of the back of the car, surely, because any other driver would have seen that much smoke in the rearview mirror and gone, I'm coming into the pits. But he carried on, and he only made it to the foot of turn 3. Now we've got the Pro-Am battle. This is for the victory overall as well, don't forget. Yellow flags into the hairpin. So there's not a chance for Todd Kingsford to get into the victory ahead of Judgeon Song. Safety car, safety car. Well, that's going to bunch up the entire field. And now we're going to have a spectacular conclusion to the Asian section of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. What a grandstand finish it's going to be then, because we're going to have Judgeon Song leading, Todd Kingsford second, Brown versus Denning, then Emilion Card, Gavin Huang and Peter Lee. All the time they've lost is going to be made up. This is going to be a sensational conclusion. There's the Lamborghini Urus. Safety car out onto the circuit. That's one of the few safety cars in the world I can actually say that I've driven one of those out in Dubai. It's a very cool car, I have to say. But I'll bet the safety car version is even cooler still. Well done by the marshals. The unsung heroes of motorsport. I tip my hat to them. Without them, we cannot race at all. Two of the most important people in motorsport. The fan through the turnstile and the marshal on the post. Without them, we are nothing. So they managed to pick up Ethan Brown and Alex Denning. Now, those are not the race leaders. They are the leaders in Pro, but they're not the race leaders, so they've got to wave them on. And then they've got to wait for Song Ji-jun and Todd Kingsford. So this is going to be a lengthy process. It means we're probably only going to get a 10-minute run to the checkered flag, maybe even less than that. Liu Xue having a nice chat there with Mike Show. The Climax boys in good conversation, swapping war stories from the first stint, no doubt. But now we're going to have a fantastic conclusion. Safety car stops on the track because this is a saving of time that is needed now. So the safety car stops at the side of the road, waiting for Song Ji-jun and Todd Kingsford to make their way back around. Z-Speed in communication with Massi Weiser, who is currently in 11th place, 5th in Pro-Am. There's a chance of a podium here. He's going to have to take on Lin Kang and Bryce Fullwood in order to do it. But if anybody can get that car onto the podium, it's Massi Weiser. Now everybody's on tenterhooks, waiting for the conclusion of this race to unfold. This is going to be nail-biting stuff. The safety car is going to catch the leader, Song Ji-jun, in the 89 Leip Motorsport car. There's the leader in the AM category, that's Harry Zardalo, having taken over from Azik Zardalo. Incredibly, the number 4 car has got going again, has had its pit stop. The Masters Miami X30 Asia driver, Harith Zardalo, has got behind the wheel of the car, and they're up to 3rd again. So, when we thought that car was going ridiculously slowly and didn't have a chance of anything, now the AM crew have got it back up to 3rd place. There's the confirmation. Number 4 in 17th place, Harith bin Zaralo. doing his only race of the season alongside Aaron Lim. And this is the only time all year they've run 2 cars, I should point out as well, as far as I'm aware. But Aaron Lim alongside Howard Zarolo, keeping it in the family, and it looks like today they could end up with a double podium. So now the safety car can get moving again, as it has caught up to Song Ji-jun and Todd Kingsford. First and second. So well done, good communication from everybody at Lamborghini and with race control here at Sepang. One of the most underrated circuits in the world, if you ask me. Still a fantastic racetrack. It's a shame that Formula One left it. It was always, for me, a real highlight on the Grand Prix calendar. Still is a highlight on the MotoGP calendar. Great work from the marshals. Fantastic men and women all around the circuit, doing such a fantastic job of keeping the motorsport exciting, but also safe. What a restart this is going to be. Song Ji-jun ahead of Todd Kingsford. And Kingsford was slowly catching Song Ji-jun before the safety car came out. So this is definitely going to be an exciting restart. But all of those gaps are now just going to be washed away. Look in the background, there's Ethan Brown, there's Alex Denning. So this is going to be a nail-biter for the last 10 minutes or so of this race. We'll keep an eye out for the lights on the safety car, whether they go out now or in another lap. I think it's going to be another lap. But there is the pro leader, Ethan Brown. The handicap of the penalty in the pit lane is now no longer a factor, nor is it a factor for Gavin Huang or Peter Lee. Very unfortunate for Gerald Goh, who's now back in pit lane after the car broke down on him. What a shame for Gerald Goh of the Bundang Racecraft crew. That was a Lamborghini Cup victory, very much in the offing there. He and Sang-ho Kim have done a fantastic job to build up a lead there. The mechanical failure puts the leading Lamborghini Cup car out of the race and us under safety car. And that hands the lead to Supachai Wedabombapong, who is now just 10 minutes away from winning the Lamborghini Cup title in Super Trofeo Asia 2025. On board again with Ling Kang, running in 9th place, 3rd in Pro-Am. He's got Bryce Fullwood and Massey Weiser behind him on the restart. And in 10 minutes' time, we could have a new champion in Pro. Charles Leong and Alex Denning for SJM Theodore. They're currently running 2nd in Pro. That's going to be good enough to win the title if it stays like this. Especially considering that in 3rd place is the DW Evans GT number 16. But can the young Singaporean Ethan Brown hang on to the lead? It's a lot to ask of him. Very impressive young racing driver, Ethan Brown. He's done a fantastic job up to this point. But now it's time to see if he can hold on to this up at the sharp end of the field. Raced in Speed Car in 2023, Australian F3 a year before that. This has been his debut season in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia. So Ethan Brown with a chance to take the victory ahead of Alex Denning and Emilion Card in their same team run squad cars, masterminded by Theodore Racing and Evans GP in association with Dan Wells. This is a great chance for the team to wrap up the title. But Leip Motorsport want to wipe the smiles from their face a little to take a win off them for their young debutant, Ethan Brown. Safety car will return to the pits at the end of this lap. We're going to get a sprint finish for the last 7 minutes or so of racing here in Malaysia. So with safety car in this lap, it's time for a nail-biting conclusion. Who's going to get the job done here? Will it be Song Ji-jun of Leip Motorsport number 89? Will it be the Australian Thai, Todd Kingsford, in the FaneLab 98? Will it be the leading pro driver, the young Singaporean Ethan Brown in the Leip? Or will it be the champions in waiting in SJM Theodore, Alex Denning in the number 32 car? What can Emilion Card do to help them? What can Gavin Huang and Peter Lee do to come back? And what will the teenage youngster Nicholas Starty do? Is the AM victory going to the Malaysian team again for HZO Fortis? And will the Lamborghini Cup Championship crown be won by Supergiant Wittaborbonpong? We're going to find out the answers to all of those questions in the next 7 minutes. There is the leader in Pro, third position, Ethan Brown. They are going to be quicker than Song Ji-jeon and Todd Kingsford over 1 lap. So this is going to be the mother of all safety car restarts to conclude the Asian part of the journey. Will we crown the champions before Misano? It's time to find out. It looks like Song Ji-jeon's already dropped the hammer. There is the Eurus safety car. So now we're going to get ourselves ready as Song Ji-jeon backs them up again out of the final turn. And we are getting ready for the last charge in Sepang 2025, the race for the title. Out of the final turn, Song Ji-jeon floors it. And here in Sepang, he goes green, 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 green. Ethan Brown's already on the warpath behind Todd Kingsford. Kingsford's already trying to get close to Song. But Ethan Brown is fancying his chances as round the outside. Alex Denning has made himself a gap. Todd Kingsford runs wide. Ethan Brown's going to get to the inside line, but he doesn't want to cost himself. This is a tricky ball game for Ethan Brown to play now. Alex Denning's got a clearer run onto the far side. Oh, there's contact further back. That's the HZO Fortis going around. I think that was the Delta garage into the side of Harit Zaralo. As getting on the grass, Gavin Huang. And now Todd Kingsford's going to go for broke for the lead. As Ethan Brown tries to get away from Alex Denning. The racecrafts get close together as Nicholas Starty tries to make his pin. And Ethan Brown goes up the inside of Todd Kingsford. Here comes Alex Denning. Denning's going to keep his foot in. What will Todd Kingsford do? Patience may be needed here. And it is. Well done to Alex Denning. Emilian Card fancies his chances but then decides against it. Patience is a virtue. You don't need to win the race. You just need to win the championship. So Alex Denning waits as now Ethan Brown takes on Song Ji-jeon in the lead of the race. So much at stake here, but they are teammates, those cars. One leading pro, the other leading pro-am. So Song Ji-jeon shouldn't give Ethan Brown too many problems here. But there is a real chance. Ethan Brown's got to be careful here, goodness me. These are teammates in different classes. Song Ji-jeon leading Pro-Am, Ethan Brown leading Pro, but he knows he's got to get ahead quickly because here comes Todd Kingsford to battle for the Pro-Am victory. And also, Alex Denning's coming in for the Pro win. Car number 7, Peter Lee, is under investigation for the pit stop time being too short. That has cost them the championship title for sure. As up the inside, Ethan Brown takes the lead. Todd Kingsford's going for the Pro-Am win on the inside of Song Ji-jeon, who drifts wide. Todd Kingsford's there. The Pro-Am lead has changed. And now SJM Theodore and DWMS swarm past to get into 3rd and 4th overall. But hearts plunge to the boots in the racecraft pit as Ethan Brown drifts wide in turn 1. Careful, Ethan, that's a Pro win in the offing. But Peter Lee under investigation for the pit stop time being too short. That's any chance of them winning this championship now done. If they get a penalty, they will drop even further back, and they're currently 5th in Pro. On board again with Ling Kang. Down to the braking zone. Onto the inside. Ling Kang has got the move done on Peter Lee. Peter Lee's trying to come back at him. They bang panels as they come through. And that's pretty much game over, I'm afraid, for Peter Lee, who's now falling into the clutches of Bryce Fullwood. Song Ji-jeon has dropped all the way to 9th position. They're not even going to make the podium after leading for so long in Pro-Am. The Leip car is now falling down the order, and Peter Lee's got a problem. Clearly something's not right, as it's easy pickings for Bryce Fullwood to get through. Down on the inside, there goes Alex Denning. He makes the move on Todd Kingsford. That's for 2nd place overall. Oh, contact! Don't get into each other now! Goodness me! Alex Denning and Todd Kingsford come together. You've got to be so careful. That's a championship on the rise there for Alex Denning. Hopefully that will be no problem. but you do not need a penalty now. Not now. So Peter, and a spin for Johnson Huang. No, sorry, that's Brian Huang in the car now. So the BC Racing number 51 spins around at the hairpin. Was that unassisted, or did he get a little nudge? Maybe we'll have to see that one again, but certainly for Brian Huang, it's the same result as what happened to Johnson Huang earlier in the race. They spin around and down to the back. What a shame. Right, back to the front. Ethan Brown leads in pro. Alex Denning second. Hopefully that little bit of a nudge on Todd Kingsford isn't going to do them any harm. It didn't cost Kingsford the lead in Pro-Am. They didn't really lose any time. So I think they're all right. 3 wide behind them as up the inside comes Ling Kang. Ling Kang's got pressure. Oh, banging of doors there from the 99. As now we've got Bryce Fullwood working his way up the inside line, making his debut in Lamborghini this weekend, of course. Last lap, we're on the last lap. So it's now or never. Ethan Brown leads, Alex Denning second, and in third in pro is Emilion Card. So there's one chance now if you want to take the Pro-Am victory, and Bryce Fullwood knows it. He's got to try and charge after Todd Kingsford. But it looks to me as though the Australian tie is going to hold on to this victory in third position. He's not dropping that much in terms of pace. 2:14.6 last time. Well, 2:13.7 from Fullwood. He's got to have a perfect final lap. And the safety car hasn't made it easy for him. But here is young Ethan Brown in the number 27 Leip car. Don't overdrive it, don't overcook it, and the win is yours, my friend. Down to the inside line, still fantastic battles going on as running wide. That is the BC Racing car. It's all gone wrong for Gavin Huang as Bryce Fullwood gets through. And that is it. Game over in the championship for the 11 BC and the 7 Racecraft. Gavin Huang is going to be 4th. Peter Lee is going to be 5th, and that's not going to be enough. The SJM Theodore car is going to be 2nd behind Ethan Brown, and that will be the championship won. But we cannot take away from the brilliant performance of the young Singaporean Ethan Brown, who has come into this year as a rookie and done a sensational job. Excellent work from Ethan Brown. He comes into the final corner, and he will take a very deserving victory indeed here. He has managed himself beautifully today. Out of the final turn, Ethan Brown gets the victory for Leip Motorsport, but SJM Theodore Racing are the champions of 2025 in the pro category. Fantastic work all season from Charles Leong and Alex Denning. All they needed to do was stay ahead of Gavin Huang and Peter Lee. They did that with support from Nazim Asman and Emilion Card, who finished 3rd. So this is going to be one heck of a party. It's only midday, and I don't think it's going to finish until midday tomorrow. And across the line comes Superjai Winnipong. He wins the Lamborghini Cup for 2025. Excellent work for the tie. So consistent all season. He is Lamborghini Cup champion 2025. Kopudka Superjai. Excellent work. Champion. We've still got 2 championships to crown, of course, in Pro-Am and in the Am category. That will be decided in the autumn in Misano. But Ethan Brown is the pro winner today at Sepang, and deservedly so. He held on through all of the catastrophes, all of the difficulties. He made it work, and it came together for him, rightly so. But the victory belongs in the championship to SJM Theodore. Excellent, excellent display. What a fantastic end to the season. A really nail-biting conclusion all the way. I don't think there is going to be much of an investigation into that little love tap earlier on, by the way. I think we're okay on that one. It certainly isn't going to change anything in the championship. What a display. What a season. From Sydney Motorsport Park to Shanghai International to Fuji Speedway to Indraspedium to here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. In 10 races, there were a phenomenal 6 victories for the SJM Theodore crew and silverware galore. en route to the championship title for the Macanese Charles Leong and the Ulsterman Alex Denning. What a great season it's been. There is the car that has become the championship winner in Pro in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia 2025. Charles Leong and Alex Denning. What a season, what a year it's been. Victory after victory after victory. 6 wins out of 10. And a fantastic conclusion to the season. So down in pit lane, we are ready to welcome our race winner in the Pro category. Ethan Brown comes through. Here is the replay of the battles in the early stage after the restart. Ethan Brown getting his move on the inside there to battle away. Fabulous to see. A magnificent conclusion to the racing at the end there after the safety car. And here comes the man, alone this weekend in the 27 Leip car. All the pressure on him to mess up, and he didn't. Ethan Brown, rookie in 2025, victorious in Sepang. Well done, Ethan Brown. A beautiful drive, and that's what it means to his dad. Excellent, excellent work. Ethan Brown, a winner in 2025. Rightly so. Masterful drive. Didn't look like a rookie at all. But the scenes are going to be fairly spectacular. We've got a pair of champions down in the paddock already. Supachai Wedabonapong, the Lamborghini Cup champion. And of course, SJM Theodore. Well done, Ethan. What a victory. What a performance. The Hankook cap goes on. And you are the latest winner. But listen to the thunderous roar as Alex Denning lights up the throttle down pit lane to celebrate in style for SJM Theodore. The whole squad is there. Second place will do. They are the champions for 2025. Charles Leong is still cooling down. Alex Denning climbs the car. They've done it before they've even bought their plane tickets to Italy for the World Finals in Misano. They are the Asian champions in Pro. This party is probably still going to be going on Wednesday. Excellent scenes down in pit lane for Alex Denning and Charles Leong. And they are so proud of Charles this year. He's really turned the corner in terms of his development. I was talking to Dan Wells this morning. His fitness has turned the corner. His concentration and composure has elevated. He's lost 12 kilos over the season. Such has been his incredible run of performance in fitness. He's made this work over the year. A team is only as good as their weakest parts. There were no weak parts on the podium today. Ethan Brown, winner as a rookie. But Charles Leong and Alex Denning, champions for SJM Theodore. DW Evans GT third for Nazim Asman and Emilian Card. The party starts now. Commiserations to Gavin Huang and to Peter Lee, who just missed out. Good drive from Nicholas Starty, only 8 seconds off on his debut weekend. In Pro-Am, the victory goes the way of Todd Kingsford and the Kiwi Chris Vanderdrift. Great run from the FaneLab team. They get the victory they deserve ahead of the hard-charging Bryce Fullwood and Mike Show. Lu Tsui and Lin Kang come through for the podium ahead of Kevin Chen and Masi Weiser. Chao Zikwan and Liu Kai-shun come home 5th place despite the difficulties ahead of Yang Jitong and Changbu Li. Song Jijun and Brendan Leach slipping all the way to 7th after leading early doors. And then Brian and Johnson Wang, P8. A great race in the AM category. And it's that man again, Bobby Buncherun. Despite spinning at turn 1, he fought his way back to the victory in the end ahead of Umar Abdullah and Dipa Fitramadin. That contact in the first corner really hampering Hazik and Harry Zaralo. They dropped to 4th behind the sister car, who still get a podium on their home turf. And Li Donghui and Li Dongsheng come home P5. And then last but by no means least, the Lamborghini Cup victory for Supachai Wedabonapong, the new Lamborghini Cup champion of 2025, ahead of the Batmobile, Shinji Takei and Kumar Prabhakaran, Marchimin of the Arrows Racing team, Mak Hing-tak, and then, sadly, the retirement that we saw earlier for the Bungdangbo Racecraft crew of Sang-ho Kim and Gerald Go while they were leading. What a shame. So let's go over the highlights of this fantastic race battle. What a way to end the 5th weekend of the season. And the charge to the title for the number 32 SJM Theodore crew. What a sensational race to the title. 6 wins over 10 races and a fantastic performance throughout. Plenty of great racing over the course of this 50 minutes. There were trials, there were tribulations. You've got to feel for Nicolas Starty. A pro podium could have been on for him today. But the Australian will come back, and I'm sure he'll be stronger in the future. Still came home P5 on his debut. There were errors, there were mistakes. There were moments when it could have gone awry. We had the threat of rain. It never materialised. And now Teddy Yip and the crew can celebrate in style in the pit lane here at Sepang. They haven't even booked the flights for Italy yet, but they are the champions. A fantastic display from Charles Leong in the opening phase, and Alex Denning in the second stint gives the team the title. Fabulous racecraft all the way through from the start to the finish, and it really sets us up for a sensational end to the season in Asia. There's still titles to be won back in Europe, of course, as the Super Trofeo Asia Pro-Am and Am category titles will still go down to the wire. But in Pro, it's job done. Ethan Brown is the winner, but Alex Denning and Charles Leong are the champions. What a way to end it. Well, that is it from Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia in terms of the Asian part of the season, from Sydney to Shanghai to Fuji to India to Sepang. The championship will conclude at the Lamborghini World Finals in Misano in November. From me, Jake Sanson, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in Italy.